My daughter didn't come home for a hug. She came with a lawyer in a hoodie, 3 wannabe gangsters, and a contract worth $56 million, and they thought I'd already lost. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe, hit the hype button, and support this channel with a like. And tell us below. Have you ever faced something like this? I was in the kitchen when I heard the cars pull up. 3 of them. Expensive, loud, the kind of vehicles that announce their arrival like a threat. Rebecca was upstairs reading. I put down my coffee and walked to the front window. Maddie stepped out first. My daughter. 29 years old, wearing designer clothes I'd probably paid for, sunglasses hiding her eyes even though the sun was already setting. Behind her came Troy Bentley, her boyfriend of 2 years. Tall, tattooed, walking like he owned the world. 3 more men climbed out of the other cars. I recognized them from social media posts Maddie never bothered to hide. Rico Malone, Vinny Ortiz, and the one they called Big J. They walked up my driveway like a procession of executioners. I opened the door before they could knock. Maddie pulled off her sunglasses and tried to smile, but it looked more like a wolf showing teeth. "Hi, Dad." "Madison, can we come in? We need to talk about something important." I stepped aside. They filed past me, Troy making sure to bump my shoulder as he passed. The 3 others spread out in my living room like they were casing the place. Rico ran his hand along the leather couch. Vinny picked up one of Rebecca's sculptures and examined it like he was appraising stolen goods. "You gonna tell me what this is about?" I asked. Maddie sat down without being invited. Troy stood behind her, hands in his pockets. The hoodie lawyer, some kid who couldn't have been older than 25, pulled papers from a messenger bag. "Dad, we've been thinking. You and Mom are getting older, managing all these properties, the investments. It's a lot of work. We want to help." "Help?" "Yeah." She leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "Troy and I have been building something really exciting. A real estate development company, but we need capital. And since most of the family wealth is tied up in properties you never use anyway, we thought it made sense to consolidate." The lawyer kid spread papers across my coffee table. I saw my own name, property addresses, account numbers. "This is a simple transfer of ownership," Maddie said. "Everything gets reorganized under a family trust that I'll manage. You and Mom still get income, but the assets can actually be put to work. It's better for everyone." "Better for everyone," I repeated. Troy finally spoke. His voice was exactly what I expected, trying to sound businesslike, but landing somewhere around threatening. "Mr. Holt, this is happening one way or another. Maddie's been more than patient. You can sign now and make this easy, or we can make it complicated. Your choice." I looked at my daughter, searched her face for something, anything, that resembled the girl who used to play piano for me, the one who'd bring me drawings from school, the one who'd fall asleep on my shoulder during movies. Nothing, just cold calculation. "Where do I sign?" Maddie blinked. She'd expected resistance. "Really? You drove all this way. You brought lawyers and muscle. Clearly you've thought this through." I picked up the pen the lawyer offered. "Show me where." The kid's hands shook slightly as he pointed to the signature lines. I signed. 4 pages, initial here, sign there. My entire life's work transferred in less than 3 minutes. Maddie stood up, papers in hand. She almost looked disappointed that it had been so easy. "Thanks, Dad. This is really the right move for everyone." "I'm sure it is." Troy gathered his crew with a jerk of his head. They moved toward the door. Maddie paused at the threshold, looking back at me with something that might have been guilt or might have been triumph. I couldn't tell anymore. "I'll call you next week," she said. "We'll do dinner or something." "Sure, sweetheart." The door closed, engines started, taillights disappeared down the driveway. Rebecca appeared at the top of the stairs. "Did you do it?" "I did." "Good." She came down and stood beside me. We watched through the window until the last car turned onto the main road. "How much did Harper move?" Rebecca asked. "Everything. 56 million. Transferred 3 weeks ago. And the properties they think they just got? Clean titles, empty shells. Harper made sure every document looked perfect. They'll check, find everything in order, think they won." I turned to my wife. "They have no idea what's actually in their hands." Rebecca smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "How long before they figure it out?" "Days. Maybe a week if they're really stupid." I walked to my office, Rebecca following. I pulled up my laptop and opened the encrypted folder Harper had prepared. Lucas's name is already on everything. Legal, binding, irreversible. By the time they try to access anything, they'll hit walls everywhere they turn. "You're really doing this?" It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. She made her choice. She chose them. She chose this. I felt something cold settle in my chest, something I'd been pushing down for 2 years. "Family isn't business," you said. I believed that. I believed it right up until she stopped being family. Rebecca put her hand on my shoulder. "Then finish it." I opened another file. Photos, documents, transaction records, everything Harper and I had been gathering for months. Troy's crew wasn't careful. They'd left digital fingerprints everywhere. Bank accounts, property deals, intimidation cases, the underground bar they used as their base, a place called the Switchyard. My phone buzzed. A message from Harper. "Package delivered to Lucas. He knows to stay quiet." I texted back, "Phase 2? Ready when you are." I looked at Rebecca. She nodded once. I texted, "Go." The next message came from an unknown number, one of Harper's throwaway phones. It contained a single image, Maddie and Troy in Las Vegas, at what looked like a casino VIP room, signing documents with 2 men in expensive suits. In the background, partially obscured by a pillar, was Lucas, my adopted son. The one person in this family who'd never asked me for anything, the one who now owned everything they thought they'd stolen. They celebrated for 3 days. I watched it all on social media. Maddie posted photos of expensive dinners, bottles of champagne, Troy and his crew raising glasses in some nightclub. The captions were vague but triumphant. New chapter starting. Built different. Family business secured. I sat in my office and took notes. Rebecca brought me coffee and sandwiches. She didn't ask what I was doing. She already knew. Years of marriage teach you when to talk and when to just exist alongside each other. Harper called on the 4th day. "They tried to access the main account this morning," she said. "No greeting, just information. That's why I liked her. Hit the first wall. They're confused but not panicking yet." What did they get? Error messages. Account locked pending verification. They called the bank 3 times, got bounced to different departments. The bank's doing exactly what we paid them to do. Delay and confuse. I leaned back in my chair. How long before they realize? Another day, maybe 2. They'll bring in someone smarter eventually. But every hour that passes, every error message they get, they're burning through resources trying to figure it out. Troy is going to get aggressive. Let him. We're documenting everything. Every threat, every intimidation attempt. It all goes in the file. What about Lucas? Safe. I sent him specific instructions. He's not to acknowledge anything, not to respond to any contact attempts. As far as the world knows, he's just your son living his quiet life across the country. Good. I paused. Harper, the property titles they took. How perfect are they? Flawless. I had 3 different law firms review them independently. If they bring them to anyone for verification, everything will check out. The properties exist, the paperwork is legitimate, the transfers are properly recorded. They won't find a single flaw. Except that the properties were all sold and emptied 3 weeks before they got the titles. The new owners are shell companies so deeply layered they'd need 6 months and a team of forensic accountants to trace them. And by the time they got that far, they'd discover that those shell companies are owned by a trust. And that trust is controlled by Lucas. I smiled. Couldn't help it. You're terrifying. You know that. You saved my career once, Dan. This is me paying that back with interest. She paused. There's something else. I've been monitoring their communications. Troy's planning something at the Switchyard tomorrow night. Big meeting with his crew and some other players. I think he's trying to leverage the properties for another deal. Can you get me inside? Long pause. Dan, that's not part of the plan. We do this legally, remember? Clean revenge through dirty methods, but always inside the law. I need something physical from that location, something concrete. Bank records, meeting notes, anything that proves what they're really doing. They're criminals. They don't keep records. Yes, they do. Troy thinks he's smart. He keeps files on everyone he works with. Insurance, he calls it. I need to find where he keeps it. Another pause. I can get you blueprints of the Switchyard. It used to be a train depot before they converted it. There might be old offices, storage areas, but Dan, if you get caught, I won't. If you get caught, she continued, everything falls apart. They'll claim harassment, frame themselves as victims. We lose the legal high ground. Then I won't get caught. She sighed. I could hear her typing. I'll send you everything I have on the location. But Dan, be smart about this. You're not 20 anymore. I'm 58, not deceased. Not yet. She hung up. Rebecca appeared in the doorway. You're going to that bar. Harper's sending me blueprints. Daniel. She used my full name, which meant she was serious. What exactly are you planning? Troy keeps files, records of deals, dirt on his associates, leverage material. If I can find those, we have proof of everything they've been doing. Not just to me, to everyone. And if they catch you sneaking around their criminal headquarters? They won't. She crossed her arms. You're doing that thing where you pretend confidence is the same as immortality. I'm doing the thing where I don't leave any openings. They took my daughter. They took what I built. They did it with smiles and legal papers and the assumption that I'd just roll over. I stood up, walked to the window. I'm not rolling over. I'm ending this. Completely. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Then, take your phone. Keep it on. If I don't hear from you every 30 minutes, I'm calling every contact we have. Deal. She left. I pulled up the files Harper sent. The Switchyard was bigger than I expected. 3 main buildings connected by covered walkways, built on the bones of an old rail yard. The main bar occupied the largest building. The other 2 were supposedly storage and private rooms. Underground, accessible through the oldest building, was what used to be maintenance tunnels and equipment storage. That's where Troy would keep anything sensitive. Underground, old, forgotten by everyone except people who needed to hide things. I studied the blueprints until I could walk them in my head. Exits, entrances, blind spots, improbable camera coverage. I was an architect before I was a businessman. Reading buildings was like reading books. My phone buzzed, message from an unknown number. Dad, you need to fix this. The accounts aren't working. Call me. Maddie. Using a burner phone, probably Troy's idea. I didn't respond. Another message 5 minutes later. This isn't funny. Something's wrong with the transfers. Call me. I turned off my phone. Harper called on the office line an hour later. They're spiraling. Troy's made 15 calls in the last 2 hours. They've contacted 4 different banks, 2 law firms, and 1 very confused accountant. The accounts are locked, the properties are inaccessible, and they're starting to realize something's very wrong. Good. Let them panic. There's more. One of Troy's crew, Rico, I think, just posted a video rant online. He's talking about how they got screwed on a deal, how someone's playing games. He doesn't mention you specifically, but he's clearly freaking out. Document everything, dates, times, specific threats. Already done. Dan, you need to know that they're going to come back to you. When they can't figure this out on their own, they're going to show up at your house again, and they won't be asking nicely. Let them come. Rebecca and I will be ready. With what? More legal papers? With police on speed dial and cameras recording. Harper, I'm not going to fight them with fists. I'm going to let them incriminate themselves, and then I'm going to bury them with their own actions. Just be careful. Troy's type doesn't think in terms of consequences. That's exactly why I'm going to win. I hung up and went upstairs. Rebecca was packing a bag. Going somewhere? I asked. We are. There's a hotel downtown. Nice, secure, lots of witnesses. We're staying there for the next few days. You think they're coming here? I know they're coming here. And when they do, I want cameras catching every second of it. She zipped the bag. Harper's already arranging security camera installation around the property. Front door, driveway, all angles, professional grade. If they show up and make threats, we have evidence. Smart. This was why I married this woman. We left within the hour. The hotel was downtown, one of those places with doormen and lobby security. We checked in under Rebecca's maiden name. By evening, Harper texted confirmation that the cameras were active. That night, at 2 a.m., motion sensors triggered. I watched on my phone as Troy's SUV pulled into my driveway. He got out alone, walked up to the front door, and pounded on it. When no one answered, he circled the house, trying windows, checking the garage. The cameras caught everything. His face, his license plate, his attempts to force entry. After 20 minutes, he left. But not before spray painting something on the garage door. I zoomed in on the footage. 2 words, call me. Harper would love this. I sent her the video files. Her response came immediately. Beautiful. He just committed criminal trespassing and property damage. Want to press charges now? Not yet. Let him keep digging. You're enjoying this? Maybe I was. The Switchyard sat at the edge of the industrial district, surrounded by warehouses and empty lots. It looked exactly like what it was. An old train depot converted into something between a bar and a fortress. Chain-link fencing, security cameras on the corners, a parking lot full of expensive cars that had no business being in this neighborhood. I parked 3 blocks away and walked. It was Thursday night, late enough that most legitimate businesses were closed, but early enough that the bar would be busy. I wore dark clothes, nothing flashy. My phone was in my pocket, volume off but GPS active so Rebecca could track me. The building was 3 stories of brick and steel. The main entrance faced the street, heavy door, bouncer checking IDs. Side entrances were chained. But the back, according to Harper's blueprints, had a delivery entrance that led down to the old basement level. I circled around through an adjacent lot, staying in shadows. The delivery entrance was exactly where the plans showed it, a rusted metal door with a padlock that looked more intimidating than it actually was. I'd come prepared. The lock popped in 30 seconds. Inside was darkness and the smell of stale beer and concrete. I waited for my eyes to adjust, listening. Music thumped from above, muffled by floors and walls. Voices, laughter, the sounds of a busy night. I pulled out a small flashlight and oriented myself using the blueprints I'd memorized. The basement was a maze of old storage rooms and tunnels. According to Harper's research, Troy used one of the back rooms as a private office, away from the main bar, accessible only through this lower level. I moved carefully, testing each step. The floor was uneven, scattered with debris. Old equipment, broken furniture, things left behind when the depot closed decades ago. Halfway down the main tunnel, I heard voices, several men. I switched off the flashlight and flattened myself against the wall. Told him yesterday, Rico. We don't have time for his excuses. Troy's voice, close. Man's scared. He knows what happens if he talks. That was Rico. They were in a room to my left, door partially open. Light spilled out. Scared is good. Scared keeps people quiet. Troy again. What about the property situation? Any word? Nothing. Banks won't tell us anything. Just keep saying the accounts are locked pending verification. What does that even mean? It means someone's messing with us. And I know exactly who. My jaw tightened. The old man? Come on, Troy. He signed everything. We watched him do it. Then explain why we can't access anything. Explain why every time we try to move forward, we hit walls. Sounds of movement, something being thrown. He played us, somehow. And when I find out how, I'm going to make him regret it. You think he had help? Has to. He's too stupid to pull this off alone. Probably hired some lawyer. We find the lawyer, we find the answer. I needed to move. They were too close. But I also needed to know where Troy kept his files. I couldn't leave without something. The voices continued inside the room. I edged past the open door, saw a glimpse of Troy and Rico standing near a desk covered in papers. Behind them were filing cabinets. That was it. That's what I needed. But there was no way to get inside while they were there. I continued down the tunnel, looking for another option. 30 feet further, I found a connecting passage. The blueprint showed it led back toward the main building, but also had a branch that curved behind the office rooms. I followed the branch. The tunnel narrowed, the ceiling lower. I had to crouch, but it led exactly where I hoped, to a maintenance access point behind the filing cabinets in Troy's office. The access panel was rusted shut. I worked it carefully, trying not to make noise. It took 3 minutes of steady pressure before it gave way with a soft scrape of metal on metal. I froze, listened. The voices in the room continued without pause. They hadn't heard. The space behind the filing cabinets was barely wide enough to fit through. I squeezed in, feeling like I was crawling into a coffin. The cabinets blocked most of my view, but I could hear Troy and Rico clearly now, just on the other side of the metal. Meeting with the investors tomorrow. They want to see proof of the assets. What are we going to show them? Error messages. We show them the titles, the paperwork. It's all legitimate. We explain there's a temporary banking issue being resolved. And if they don't buy it, they'll buy it. Because they want this deal as much as we do. We just need to keep them confident until we figure out what the old man did. More movement. Then silence. I heard a door close. I waited 2 full minutes before moving. Slowly, quietly, I squeezed back out from behind the filing cabinets. The room was empty. Troy and Rico had left. I went to work. The filing cabinets weren't locked. Arrogance or stupidity, probably both. Inside were folders organized by name. Associates, deals, properties. Everything was documented. Troy really did keep records on everyone. I pulled out my phone and started photographing. Page after page, names, numbers, transaction details, threats in writing. It was a prosecutor's dream. 20 minutes of steady shooting, making sure every page was clear and readable. A sound from the tunnel. Footsteps. I shoved the last folder back, closed the cabinet, and moved toward the access panel. But the footsteps were coming from that direction. I was trapped between the office entrance and the maintenance tunnel. The office door opened. A man walked in. Not Troy, not Rico. Someone I didn't recognize. Big shaved head, tattoos on his neck. He stopped when he saw me. "The hell are you?" I didn't answer. I ran, straight at him, using surprise to my advantage. He was bigger, but I was faster. I hit him low, shoulder to his chest, drove him back into the tunnel. He grabbed my jacket, but I twisted free, kept moving. "We got a problem," he shouted. "Someone's down here." More footsteps, coming fast. Multiple people. I ran deeper into the tunnels, away from the office, using the blueprint in my head to navigate. Left at the junction, right at the next, straight through the old equipment room. Behind me. "Find him! Don't let him get out!" I reached a stairwell, took the steps 2 at a time. It led up to the ground level, emerging in a storage area near the back of the building. I could hear the bar noise clearly now, music and voices just beyond a wall. I hit the exit door running. It opened onto the back lot. Fresh air, darkness, and freedom. But not quite. Rico stood by a dumpster, smoking. He looked up as I burst out. Recognition hit his face. "You!" I didn't stop. I ran for the fence line, heard Rico shouting behind me. My lungs burned. I wasn't 20 anymore. But I wasn't stopping. I cleared the fence, hit the ground on the other side, kept running. 3 blocks to my car. I could hear engines starting behind me, voices coordinating. They were coming. I reached my car, fumbled with the keys, got inside, and started the engine. In my rearview mirror, headlights appeared at the end of the block. I drove. Not toward the hotel, not toward home, just away, through back streets and residential areas where pursuit would be obvious. I took random turns, doubled back, used every evasion trick I could think of. After 30 minutes, I was sure I'd lost them. I pulled into a 24-hour diner parking lot and sat there, breathing hard. My phone rang. Rebecca. "I'm okay," I said before she could speak. "What happened? Your GPS went crazy." "Got what I needed, ran into trouble getting out. I'm fine. Come back to the hotel, now. On my way." But first I sent all the photos to Harper with a single message. "Everything you need." Her response came immediately. "Did they see you?" "Yes." "Then we accelerate. They know you're actively working against them now. No more surveillance, no more subtlety. We go nuclear." "Do it." I drove back to the hotel. Rebecca was waiting in the lobby. She didn't say anything, just looked me over, checking for damage. When she was satisfied I was intact, she led me to the elevator. "Harper wants a video call in 10 minutes, she said. "Good." In our room, I laid out everything while Rebecca ordered room service. By the time Harper's face appeared on my laptop screen, I had coffee and was reviewing the photos. "This is gold," Harper said, looking at her own copies. "Dan, this is multiple felonies documented in their own handwriting. Extortion, fraud, intimidation. You've handed me enough to put Troy and his entire crew away for years." "I don't want them in prison," I said. "Prison's too clean. They get out eventually, become martyrs, tell stories about how they were wronged." Harper raised an eyebrow. "Then what do you want?" "I want them destroyed. Financially, socially, psychologically. I want them to wake up every day for the rest of their lives knowing they had everything and lost it because they underestimated a 58-year-old man." Rebecca put a hand on my shoulder. Not restraining, just present. Harper was quiet for a moment, then, "I can work with that. The documents you found, we can leak them strategically. To competitors, to people they've wronged, to law enforcement anonymously. Create a storm they can't escape." "Do it. But first," I pulled up another file. Maddie's social media presence, her business persona, everything she's built her image on. I want that dismantled too. "Dan, that's your daughter. She stopped being my daughter when she brought armed criminals to my house and threatened me into signing away my life's work." Harper nodded slowly. "I'll need 24 hours. "You have 12. She smiled. Not a nice smile. "Now you're talking my language." By morning, the first leaks started appearing. Harper had contacts in journalism, finance, and law enforcement. She knew exactly where to plant seeds and how to make them grow. A financial blog received an anonymous tip about inconsistencies in Madison Holt's business ventures. A legal forum got questions about the legitimacy of recent property transfers. A consumer protection site got complaints about predatory lending practices connected to Troy Bentley's associates. Nothing direct, nothing traceable to me, just small fires starting in different locations. By noon, those fires were spreading. The financial blog ran a story. Questions led to more questions. People who'd been scammed by Troy's crew started speaking up, emboldened by the fact that someone was finally paying attention. I watched it unfold from the hotel room while Rebecca fielded calls from friends asking if we'd seen what people were saying about Madison online. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from Maddie, from Troy, from numbers I didn't recognize. I blocked them all. The only call I took was from Lucas. "Dad, what's happening?" I'm seeing all this stuff online about Maddie and Troy, and I got this package yesterday. Papers saying I own properties I've never heard of. Lucas, I need you to trust me. Do exactly what Harper told you. Don't acknowledge anything. Don't talk to anyone about this. Can you do that? Yeah, but Dad, why did you? Because you're the only one who never asked me for anything. Because you're family in the way that matters. Because everything I built should go to someone who'll use it right. Silence on the line. Then, does Maddie know? Not yet. She will soon. When she finds out, she's going to try to contact you. Don't answer. Don't engage. Let Harper handle everything. This is really happening. It's already happened. You're just finding out about it now. Okay. I trust you. I'll do what Harper said. Thank you. I'll explain everything when this is over. Dad, whatever they did to you, I'm sorry. Not your fault. Go live your life. Let me handle mine. I hung up and checked the latest updates. More stories, more questions, more pressure building. Troy's social media had gone silent, which meant he was panicking too much to maintain appearances. Rebecca looked up from her own phone. Harper says they're scrambling. Troy tried to set up an emergency meeting with some investors, but 3 of them canceled after seeing the news. Good. There's something else. Someone vandalized the Switchyard last night. Spray-painted accusations on the front wall. Police were called. We didn't do that. No, but someone they wronged saw an opportunity. Rebecca smiled grimly. They're under siege from multiple directions now. Can't tell who's attacking them or why. My phone rang. Harper, not video this time, just voice. We have a problem, she said. Troy knows it's you. He posted a video an hour ago calling you out by name. Says you're a vindictive old man who can't accept that your daughter grew up and made her own choices. He's trying to spin this as a family dispute. Let him. What's he got? No proof, no leverage, no access to the assets he thought he stole. He's screaming into the void. He's also threatening you. Specifically. Says you need to make this right or face consequences. Document it. Add it to the file. Dan, he's going to come after you physically. This isn't legal warfare anymore. He's a man who resorts to force to settle things, and he knows he's trapped. Then let him come. I'm ready. You're really not afraid of him. Harper, I've built skyscrapers, negotiated with unions, city councils, international investors. Troy Bentley is a street thug with an Instagram account. I'm not afraid of him. I'm insulted by him. She laughed. Couldn't help it. Okay, here's what happens next. Tomorrow, the bank is going to officially notify Troy that the accounts he's trying to access don't exist under his ownership. They'll offer to help him locate his assets, which will lead him in circles for weeks. And the properties? Similar situation. He'll get official letters explaining that the titles he possesses are valid, but that the properties have been sold and the transactions completed before his ownership began. Legally clean, utterly devastating. How long before he realizes Lucas owns everything? Hard to say. Could be days, could be weeks. Depends on how deep he digs and how much he's willing to spend on lawyers. Make it faster. I want the revelation to hit him all at once. Maximum impact. How? I thought for a moment. Can you arrange for Lucas to sign documents at a public location, somewhere there might be press or cameras? Make it look like he's finalizing business deals? You want photographic evidence that Lucas is handling major transactions. I want Troy to see clearly and undeniably that my adopted son is managing assets worth $56 million. Assets Troy thinks belong to him. That's cruel. That's revenge. Harper was quiet. Then, I'll make it happen. Give me 2 days. 1 day. You're going to give me a heart attack. You love this and you know it. She hung up. Rebecca was looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. What? I asked. You've changed. They changed me. No, this was always in you. You just never needed it before. She set down her phone. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I see it. The man who built an empire from nothing, who outmaneuvered every competitor, who never lost a negotiation. He's back, and he's angry. Is that a problem? It's justice. She stood up, walked to the window. Maddie made her choice. Troy made his. They thought they could take everything and walk away clean. They forgot that you don't just hand someone the keys to the kingdom without planning for every contingency. I gave her every chance, every opportunity to be something better. I know. And she threw it away for a man who treats intimidation like a business model. Rebecca turned back to me. Finish this. Completely. Make sure they never try this again with anyone else. I joined her at the window. The city spread out below, lights coming on as evening approached. Somewhere out there, Troy was realizing he'd made a catastrophic mistake. Somewhere, Maddie was learning that actions have consequences. My phone buzzed. Message from an unknown number. This isn't over, old man. You think you can embarrass me and walk away? I'm coming for you. Poor spelling. No punctuation. Troy was typing angry. I forwarded it to Harper with a note. Add to the collection. Another message. Your daughter deserves better than you. She chose me because I actually give her what she needs. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Everything he was doing, every threat, every angry message, was building my case stronger. Rebecca ordered dinner. We ate in silence, both of us processing the momentum building around us. This wasn't just about recovering stolen assets anymore. It was about completely dismantling the people who thought they could destroy us. Harper sent a final message that evening. Lucas will be in New York tomorrow signing papers at the Mercer Street offices. I've alerted 3 business journalists who'll be in the building. Cameras likely. Should hit financial news by evening. Perfect. Dan, whatever happens next, you know there's no going back from this. I don't want to go back, I want to go forward, and they don't get to come with me. Good, because tomorrow, everything changes. She was right. Tomorrow, Troy would learn exactly how much he'd lost. Tomorrow, Maddie would understand that I wasn't the victim in this story. Tomorrow, they'd realize they'd miscalculated everything about who I was and what I was capable of. I slept well that night, better than I had in years. The photos hit financial news sites by 3 p.m. the next day. Lucas, my adopted son, photographed leaving the Mercer Street offices in New York after signing documents related to significant property transactions and asset management. The articles were vague but suggestive, mentioning connections to property holdings in multiple states and investment portfolios recently reorganized under new management. Within an hour, Troy's associates started making connections. Someone posted on social media, "Isn't that Dan Holt's kid? Why is he managing assets?" The question spread like an infection. Comments, speculation, people putting pieces together. Madison Holt's boyfriend claimed ownership of properties, but Daniel Holt's son was signing papers in New York. Something wasn't adding up. I watched the conversation unfold from our hotel room, coffee in hand, feeling a satisfaction I couldn't entirely suppress. Rebecca's phone rang. She answered, listened, then held it out to me. "Harper, she wants you to hear this." I put it on speaker. Harper's voice was electric with controlled excitement. "Troy just retained emergency legal counsel. Big firm, expensive lawyers. They're going to do a full asset trace." "How long?" "Hours, not days. They're good. By tonight, they'll know that Lucas owns everything they thought they had, and there's nothing they can do about it legally because every transfer was legitimate." "And Maddie?" Still radio silent publicly, but her business partner just posted that they're dealing with unexpected complications and legal review of their ventures. Translation, she knows something's wrong but doesn't understand what yet. When will she figure it out? When Troy tells her. And based on the communication intercepts I'm monitoring, that conversation is happening soon. Troy's damage control mode is about to become full meltdown. Let me know the second it happens. Will do. One more thing. The file you got from the Switchyard? I've sent portions to 3 different law enforcement agencies. Anonymous tips, untraceable. They'll start investigating Troy's operation within the week. Good. I paused. Harper, what's our endgame timeline? 72 hours. By then, they'll know everything they've lost, every door that's closed to them, every bridge that's burned. After that, it's just watching them deal with the consequences. And the money? The 56 million? Already moved, final destination locked in, irreversible. Her voice softened slightly. Dan, you're sure about this part? Completely. All right, I'll keep you posted. She hung up. Rebecca looked at me steadily. You're really giving it all to Eleanor Knox? Eleanor Knox, Maddie's childhood piano teacher, the woman who'd spent decades teaching children music, who'd mentored Maddie from age 6 to 16, who'd believed in her talent and potential. The woman Maddie had publicly humiliated at a recital 3 years ago, mocking her outdated teaching methods in front of students and parents before walking out and never speaking to her again. Every penny, I said. $56 million into an educational foundation in Eleanor's name. Scholarships, music programs, everything she dreamed of doing but never had the resources for. Maddie's going to lose her mind when she finds out. That's the point. She thought she was taking everything from me. Instead, everything she thought she had is going to the one person she treated with the most cruelty, the one person who loved her unconditionally and got nothing but contempt in return. Rebecca smiled. It was a sharp smile. You've thought of everything. Not everything, but enough. My phone buzzed. Message from a number I recognized. Rico. Mr. Holt, we need to talk. Troy is out of control. I want out, but he won't let me leave. Can you help? I showed it to Rebecca. She read it and shook her head. Rats fleeing the ship. Should I respond? No. Let them turn on each other. That's part of the punishment, too. She was right. I deleted the message without responding. The afternoon stretched into evening. We ordered room service. I reviewed Harper's latest documentation, page after page of evidence, transactions, legal filings. Everything was airtight. Everything was irreversible. At 8 p.m., Harper called again. It happened. Troy knows. His lawyer just explained the entire situation to him. Every property, every account, every asset, all legally owned by Lucas. Nothing Troy can contest because every transfer was completed before he ever got the paperwork. How did he react? According to my source inside the law firm, he threw a chair through a window. Security had to escort him out. He's currently in the parking lot screaming into his phone. Calling Maddie? That would be my guess. Good. Let her hear it from him. Let her understand that her brilliant plan was never going to work because I saw it coming months before she acted. There's more. The investors Troy was courting pulled out completely. All of them. The bad press, the questions about asset legitimacy, the association with legal problems. They want nothing to do with him. His business is finished. Obliterated. And since most of his crew's income came through him, they're all going down together. Perfect. I felt something cold and satisfied settle in my chest. What about the bar? The Switchyard? Interesting development there. Turns out the property owner is reviewing the lease after seeing news coverage. Troy might lose his headquarters too. Everything was collapsing. Everything they'd built on stolen goods and intimidation was being systematically dismantled. Rebecca muted the TV and turned to me. When do we go home? Tomorrow. I want to be there when they come. They're definitely coming. Let them. I want to see Troy's face when he realizes there's nothing he can do to me. No leverage, no threats that matter, no way to undo what's already done. Harper's voice came through the phone. Dan, if they show up at your house, don't engage. Call the police immediately. Let them incriminate themselves further. That's the plan. I mean it. No heroics. You've already won. Don't give them an opportunity to drag you down to their level. Harper, I'm 58 years old, and I've spent the last month destroying their lives with paperwork and strategy. I'm not about to start throwing punches now. Just making sure. I've seen winners lose everything in the final moments because they got cocky. Noted. Anything else? The Eleanor Knox Foundation is finalized. Documents signed, accounts transferred. It goes public Monday morning. Every news outlet in the region will have the story. Local businessman's daughter defrauded her father. Money instead goes to beloved music teacher to create scholarship program. It's a PR dream. And a nightmare for Maddie. Understatement of the century. She's not just losing money and status. She's losing the narrative. Everyone will know what she tried to do and how spectacularly it backfired. I should have felt guilt. Some part of me expected to feel guilt. But all I felt was cold satisfaction. She'd made her choices. Now she lived with them. Keep me updated if anything changes, I told Harper. Will do. And Dan, you're kind of terrifying when you're focused. Only to people who try to destroy me. I hung up. Rebecca had moved to the window again, looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow's going to be intense. Yes. Are you ready? I've been ready since the moment they walked into my house with that contract. She nodded. Then let's finish this. We returned home Friday morning. The house looked exactly as we'd left it, except for the spray paint on the garage door that I'd arranged to have cleaned. Harper's security cameras were still active, recording everything. Rebecca went straight to the kitchen, started coffee, re-established normalcy. I went to my office and pulled up the live feeds. Nothing yet. But it was only a matter of time. Harper called at 10 in the morning. They found out about Eleanor. Someone leaked it early. Probably someone at the foundation who couldn't wait to share. Troy's social media is blowing up. Threats, accusations, total chaos. Against me? Against everyone. You, Eleanor, the lawyers, the banks. He's posting incoherently, making threats, burning every remaining bridge he has. And Maddie? Silent. Her last post was yesterday, some generic motivational quote. Since then, nothing. I think she's processing just how completely she miscalculated. Or Troy's not letting her talk. Possible. Dan, I need to tell you something. The police are looking at Troy for the vandalism and trespassing at your property. Combined with the threats he's made publicly, they're considering charging him. I didn't file a complaint. You didn't have to. When threats against a specific person are made publicly and combined with documented trespassing, the state can prosecute independently, especially when there's clear video evidence. Will he be arrested? Depends on whether he does anything else stupid. Right now, he's on their radar. One more incident, and they'll bring him in. Good. I spent the rest of the morning reviewing documents with Harper via video call. Every financial move, every legal filing, every piece of the machinery we'd built to dismantle Troy's operation. It was beautiful in its complexity. Elegant, even. At noon, a car pulled into my driveway. Not Troy's SUV, a sedan I didn't recognize. Maddie stepped out alone. Rebecca appeared in my office doorway. She's here. I know. What do you want to do? Talk to her, finally. Rebecca nodded. I'll be in the next room. I went to the front door and opened it before Maddie could knock. She looked terrible. No makeup, hair pulled back messily, clothes wrinkled. The polish she usually maintained was completely gone. Dad. Madison. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked past me into the living room, the same room where she'd sat with Troy and his crew weeks ago. She looked around like she was seeing it for the first time. You want coffee? I asked. No, I want to understand what you did. I protected my assets. That's all. That's not all. She turned to face me. Her eyes were red. Everything's gone. The properties, the accounts, the investors. Troy says you transferred everything to Lucas before we even got the papers. Is that true? Yes. Why? Because Lucas earned it. He never asked me for anything. He worked hard, built his own life, treated this family with respect. Unlike you. She flinched. I'm your daughter. You were my daughter. Now you're someone who brought criminals to my home and tried to steal everything I built. It was supposed to be an investment, a reorganization. Troy said, Troy's a thug with delusions of competence, and you chose to believe him over your own father. Because you never understood. You never supported what I was trying to build. I supported you through 29 years of life. Education, opportunities, connections, everything you ever needed, and you threw it away for a man who solves problems with intimidation. Maddie's hands were shaking. He told me you'd do this. He said you'd twist everything, make yourself the victim. I'm not the victim, Maddie. I'm the winner. You and Troy tried to take everything, and instead, you lost everything. That's not me being a victim. That's consequences. The money. The $56 million. Where did it go? I smiled. Couldn't help it. Eleanor Knox. Her face went white. What? Every penny. Into an educational foundation in her name. Music scholarships, program funding, everything she ever dreamed of. It goes public Monday. You gave my inheritance to that woman? It was never your inheritance. It was mine. I earned it, and I chose to give it to someone who actually deserved it. Someone you treated like garbage and never apologized to. You can't do this. Already done. Irrevocable. Legally binding. You'll read about it in the news like everyone else. She was crying now. Real tears, not the manufactured emotion she used for social media. Dad, please. We can fix this. I'll leave Troy. No. Dad. Madison, listen to me very carefully. You made your choice. You chose a criminal over your family. You chose greed over integrity. You chose to betray the people who loved you, and now you live with that choice. I'm your daughter. You stopped being my daughter the moment you signed those papers. Now you're just someone I used to know, someone who taught me an important lesson about trust. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Part of me, a very small part, wanted to comfort her, wanted to be the father who fixed things and made everything okay, but that version of me stopped existing the day she walked into my house with Troy's crew. You need to leave, I said. Where am I supposed to go? Troy's apartment is being evicted. His business is gone. Everyone we know has turned against us. That's not my problem anymore. How can you be so cold? You taught me. This is exactly the lesson you tried to teach me. That family doesn't matter. Only money and power matter. Well, I learned it, and I applied it better than you ever could. She looked up at me with something like horror. I made a mistake. Yes, you did. And mistakes have consequences. Adults understand that. What am I supposed to do now? Figure it out. You're 29 years old. You claimed you were smart enough to manage a $56 million empire. Surely you can figure out how to survive without it. I walked to the door and opened it. Goodbye, Madison. She stood up slowly, wiping her face. She looked at me like she was seeing a stranger. Maybe she was. I hate you, she said. That's fine. Hate me from somewhere else. She walked to the door, paused at the threshold. Mom would be ashamed of you. Your mother is upstairs. You want to ask her yourself? Maddie's face went even paler. She hadn't realized Rebecca was here, hadn't considered that her mother might be in complete agreement with everything I'd done. Mom? Rebecca appeared at the top of the stairs. She looked down at Maddie with an expression of complete neutrality. Your father's right. You need to leave. Mom, please. You made your choice, Madison. We've made ours. Goodbye. Rebecca turned and walked away. Maddie stood there frozen, understanding finally settling over her that this was real. This wasn't a negotiation or a temporary anger. This was permanent. She left without another word. I watched her drive away, the same car she'd arrived in, probably borrowed, probably one of the last favors she'd be able to call in before everyone realized associating with her was professional danger. Rebecca came downstairs and stood beside me. We watched until the car disappeared. How do you feel? She asked. Lighter. No regrets? None. She took my hand. Then we're done with that chapter. Not quite. Still waiting for Troy. He'll come. I know. And he did. 3 hours later. The cameras caught him arriving in his SUV with Rico and Big J. All three stepped out looking like they were ready for trouble. I was ready too. Phone in hand, police on speed dial, cameras recording. Troy didn't bother with the doorbell. He pounded on the door with his fist, each impact making the frame shudder. I opened it. He looked worse than Maddie had. Unshaven, eyes wild, clothes disheveled. Behind him, Rico and Jay looked nervous. They knew this was a bad idea, but were too loyal or too stupid to stop him. You destroyed everything, Troy said. No, you destroyed everything. I just made sure you couldn't take me down with you. The money, the properties, give them back. Can't. They're not mine to give. Lucas owns them, legally. And the cash is in Eleanor Knox's foundation. Also legal. Also irreversible. Then I'll take something else. He stepped forward. I held up my phone. You're on camera. Everything you say and do right now is being recorded. And the police are one button press away, so think very carefully about your next move. You think cameras scare me? They should. You've already committed trespassing and vandalism at this property. You've made public threats. One more step and you're looking at assault charges. And given everything else that's about to come out about your business operations, you really don't want that. Rico touched Troy's shoulder. Man, let's go. This isn't worth it. Troy shook him off. He took everything from us. No, I said calmly. You took nothing from me. You tried. You failed. And now you're standing on my property threatening me while being recorded in high definition. Keep going. I'm curious how many years you'll get. Something in the way I spoke must have clicked. Troy stopped, his fury meeting a barrier of clear reasoning. He began to understand, maybe for the first time, that using intimidation wouldn't help, wouldn't change the outcome, and would only make things spiral further out of control. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. I'll find a way to hurt you. Go ahead and try. But understand that every attempt, every threat, every action you take just adds to the pile of evidence I'm building. Eventually, that pile gets tall enough that you don't walk away from it. Big J was already backing toward the SUV. Rico looked torn between loyalty and self-preservation. Troy stood there, hands tight at his sides, every part of his posture radiating aggression. But he didn't act. Because somewhere in his anger-clouded mind, he realized I'd already won, not through force or intimidation, but through time and strategy. Your daughter's going to come back to me, he said, because I'm all she has left. Then you'll both have nothing. Seems fitting. He turned and walked back to the SUV. Rico followed quickly. They drove off, tires screeching, the sound of defeat. Rebecca appeared beside me. That went better than expected. He'll come back. You think so? I know so. He's not done yet. He needs one final confrontation, one last chance to prove he's not beaten. I closed the door. And when he comes back, I'll be ready. The weekend passed in tense anticipation. Troy went silent on social media, which was more worrying than his public meltdowns. Silent meant planning. Silent meant something was building. Harper kept me updated on the legal side. The police investigation into Troy's operation was moving forward. Multiple people had come forward with complaints after seeing the news coverage. The walls were closing in from every direction. Sunday evening, Eleanor Knox called me. Her voice shook with emotion. Daniel, I don't know what to say. This foundation, the money, it's more than I ever dreamed. Why would you do this? Because you earned it. You spent decades teaching children, including my daughter. You gave everything to that work and got nothing but heartbreak in return. This is what you deserved all along. But $56 million is going to change countless lives. Music programs, scholarships, opportunities for kids who otherwise wouldn't have them. That's what Maddie's greed bought. Something beautiful instead of something destructive. She was crying softly. I don't know how to thank you. Use it well. That's all the thanks I need. After she hung up, Rebecca looked at me with something like pride. That was the right thing to do. It was the only thing to do. Monday morning arrived with a media explosion. The foundation announcement went public at 9 a.m. By 10, it was trending on local news. By noon, national outlets had picked it up. The story was irresistible. Daughter tries to defraud father. Father gives fortune to beloved teacher daughter had wronged. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing with messages from old colleagues, friends, people I hadn't spoken to in years, all supportive, all congratulatory. Maddie's phone, I imagined, was buzzing for very different reasons. Harper called at 2 p.m. Troy's crew is falling apart. Rico's trying to cut a deal with prosecutors. Vinny disappeared, probably skipping town. Big J posted a public apology distancing himself from Troy. It's complete disintegration. And Troy? No one's seen him since yesterday. His apartment's empty, his phone's off. He's either planning something or he's already run. He hasn't run. He's too angry, too proud. Then where is he? The Switchyard. That's his territory. That's where he'll make his last stand. Dan, don't. Let the police handle it. I'm not going after him, but he's coming after me. And when he does, I want it to be on terms I control. What are you planning? Insurance, just in case. I hung up and called a private security firm. Former law enforcement, professional, discreet. I hired 2 of them to watch the house starting that evening. Out of sight, but present. Rebecca didn't argue. She understood that Troy's silence was a storm gathering. That night, nothing happened. The security team reported no activity. But I couldn't sleep. Something was coming. I felt it. Tuesday morning, Harper called with news. The Switchyard's been raided. Police, federal agents, everything. They found enough evidence to charge Troy and his entire operation with multiple felonies. Extortion, fraud, money laundering. He's finished. Where is he? They're looking for him. Arrest warrants are issued. He'll run now. Probably. Dan, it's over. You won. But it didn't feel over. It felt like the moment before lightning strikes. The call came Wednesday evening. Unknown number. I answered anyway. You ruined my life. Troy's voice, raw and desperate. You ruined your own life. I just made sure you couldn't ruin mine. I want to meet. One conversation. Just you and me. So you can threaten me in person? So I can understand how you did it. How you saw it coming. How you beat me. His voice cracked. I need to know. Why would I tell you anything? Because you want to. I can hear it in your voice. You want me to know exactly how smart you were, how completely you outsmarted me. You want that satisfaction. He was right. Part of me did want that. Where? I asked. The Switchyard, courtyard in the back. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., just you and me. No crew, no cops. The place that just got raided by federal agents? They cleared out. It's empty now. Perfect place for a final conversation. Every instinct told me this was stupid. Harper would lose her mind if she knew. Rebecca would physically try to stop me. I'll be there, I said. Come alone. I will. I hung up. Rebecca was standing in the doorway, arms crossed. You're not actually going. I am. Daniel, he's going to try to hurt you. This is obviously a trap. Probably. But he's right about one thing. I want him to know. I want him to sit there and understand exactly how thoroughly I dismantled everything he tried to build. That's ego talking. That's closure talking. This doesn't end with him running away and me wondering if he'll come back. This ends with us, face to face, him understanding completely that he lost, and me walking away victorious. And if he attacks you? Then I'll deal with it. I'm not defenseless, Rebecca, and I'm not stupid. I'll have the security team nearby. I'll have my phone. I'll have every advantage except the element of surprise. She shook her head, but didn't argue further. She knew that tone in my voice. The decision was made. Thursday passed in surreal normalcy. I worked in my office, answered emails, reviewed investment reports, as if it were just another ordinary day, as if I weren't about to meet a dangerous criminal in an abandoned building. At 7 p.m., I left the house. The security team followed in their own vehicle, staying back, but visible. I drove to the Switchyard. The parking lot was empty, the building dark. Yellow police tape fluttered in the evening breeze. I parked and walked toward the courtyard Troy had mentioned. The security team stayed at the perimeter, watching. Troy was already there, standing in the center of the open space, alone, as promised. He looked worse than ever, like he hadn't slept in days, but his eyes were focused, calculating. "You came," he said. "I said I would." "No security? No backup?" "They're around, insurance policy. You try anything, they intervene. But if you just want to talk, we talk." He nodded slowly. "All right, tell me. How did you know?" "Know what?" "That we were coming, that we'd try to take the assets. How did you know weeks in advance?" I smiled. "Because you're predictable. Maddie started changing 2 years ago. Stopped talking about her actual work. Started talking about shortcuts and opportunities. Then she brought you home. And you were exactly what I expected. Someone who sees intimidation as strategy." That's not an answer. The answer is, I know my daughter. And when she brought a lawyer to my house instead of calling first, I knew exactly what was happening. So I moved everything. Weeks before you ever showed up with your contract. To Lucas, the son who actually earned it. Troy's jaw tightened. And the Eleanor Knox thing? Maximum impact. You and Maddie tried to take everything from me, so I gave it to the one person she treated worst, the one person whose hurt would matter most to anyone paying attention. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the message. What message? That actions have consequences, that you can't just take what you want from people and expect them to accept it, that some people will fight back, and when they do, they fight to win. Troy was silent for a long moment. Then, "You destroyed her, your own daughter." "She destroyed herself. I just didn't save her from the consequences." "That's cold." "That's reality. You taught her that reality. Well, congratulations. She learned the lesson. And me? What was I to you?" "An obstacle. Nothing more. You believed that force and fear gave you power. But real power is legal, financial, strategic. You never had a chance against that." He moved then, fast and angry. Rushed at me with his fists raised. I was ready. Stepped aside, used his momentum against him. Years of construction site work had kept me stronger than I looked. He stumbled, caught himself, turned back. "That's your move?" I asked. "After everything, you resort to fists?" "It's what I know. And that's why you lost." He came at me again. This time I didn't dodge. I stepped into it, caught his arm, twisted. He went down hard on the concrete, not because I was a fighter, because he was sloppy and desperate. The security team was moving toward us now, but I held up a hand. Not yet. Troy got up slowly, breathing hard. "I can't beat you." "No, you can't." "So what now? You have me arrested? Humiliated?" "That's already happening. The warrants, the charges, the evidence. You're going to spend years dealing with legal consequences. My work is done." Troy stood there, defeated, everything that made him dangerous stripped away by reality. He looked smaller somehow, less threatening. Just a man who'd made catastrophically bad choices. "I loved her," he said quietly. "Maddie, I actually loved her." "Then you should have helped her be better. Instead, you helped her be worse." She wanted this, the money, the power, the respect. I was just giving her what she wanted. You were using her, just like she was using me, The difference is I saw it, and I stopped it. He nodded slowly, accepting it. What happens to her now? That's her problem, not mine. She's got nothing. No money, no prospects, no support system. Everyone she knows has turned away. Good. Maybe she'll learn something from it. You really don't care anymore. I care that she faces reality, real consequences for real actions. That's the only way people actually change. Troy looked around the courtyard, at the building that used to be his headquarters, at the empire he'd tried to build that was now rubble. I had it all planned. Every step, the properties, the investments, the expansion, it was supposed to work. It was built on stolen goods and intimidation. It was never going to work. But if you'd just signed and let it go, then you'd have destroyed everything my actual hard work built. And you'd have moved on to the next victim. No. This was always going to end with you losing. The only question was how much damage you'd do first. Voices from the parking lot, the police, finally responding to the security team's notification. Troy heard them and tensed. They're coming for me, he said. Yes. You planned this too. Got me here, got me to confess, got everything on record. I pulled out my phone. The recording app was running, had been since I arrived. Every word. He actually laughed. Bitter, broken, but a laugh. You really did think of everything. Not everything, but enough. The police entered the courtyard, 4 officers with hands on their weapons. Troy raised his hands without being told. Troy Bentley? One officer asked. Yeah, that's me. They cuffed him, read him his rights. He didn't resist, didn't argue, just accepted it with the exhausted resignation of someone who'd finally run out of fight. As they led him away, he looked back at me. I hope it was worth it. Every second. He disappeared into the police car. The courtyard emptied. The security team approached, asking if I was all right. I was. I drove home. Rebecca was waiting, reading in the living room. She looked up when I entered. It's done, I said. Are you hurt? No. He tried. Failed. Police have him now. She closed her book. How do you feel? Victorious. Good. That's the right feeling. I sat down beside her. We didn't talk for a while, just sat together in the quiet of our home, the home they'd tried to take, the life they'd tried to destroy. My phone buzzed. Harper. I heard. Troy's in custody. They're charging him with everything we documented plus assault. He's not getting out anytime soon. And Maddie? She left the state, Texas, I think. Trying to start over somewhere people don't know her story. It won't work. The internet exists, but she's trying. Let her try. Not my problem anymore. The foundation launches officially next week. Eleanor's doing interviews, talking about the programs they're planning. It's beautiful, Dan. Really beautiful. Good, that's what matters. I hung up. Rebecca took my hand. No regrets? She asked. Not one. Then we move forward. Yes, we do.